$159. You're not getting it anywhere for $159.
No. I love mine. The quarterly figures highlight. And inside the Atlantic Ocean on an adjoining map.
Well, hello everybody, it's Charles here, and some of you are asking questions, and I want to clear the air. People are saying, well, this is a very interesting video, like this one here, but I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know why he's using a pencil hitting the monitor as I used to do. So I'd like to tell you about myself, how I got into YouTube, how I started making videos, and hopefully clear the air. So, about me, basically, I've always been scientifically curious, and when YouTube came along, I thought, wow, this is amazing. And when I started making videos with this channel, I started to get subscribers. First 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 subscribers. Wow! I started to become a little bit self-conscious. Well, I have to be careful not to disappoint these guys. And now it's clocking over to 35,000 subscribers as I'm making this video. So I'm really honored, and I feel really privileged to be able to do this. It's just unbelievable. And I would like just to fully introduce myself in a way that I've never done before. I'll also talk about my PhD that I did and how I've been educated and how I got into YouTube. So I am 37 years old. And I was at university for a long time. I attended Melbourne University doing science degree, and I quickly fell into doing chemistry and loving chemistry. It was just so amazing, especially organic chemistry. And I just found it so fascinating. The only problem was the lab work. It was a bit smelly and a bit toxic, and apparently chemists don't live as long as other people. So I decided maybe I shouldn't do chemistry. So as soon as I finished that degree, I graduated and I got out of that instead of continuing. I took a year off and started researching ancient mysteries and thinking, my God, this is so amazing. So I re-enrolled to do a humanities education. Now, it was either that or get a job as a chemist carrying arsenic around, according to one job interview I went to. So I wasn't going to do that. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Education, it's what I love. I re-enrolled. I went to Monash University in Clayton, in Melbourne. And wow. Whole new bunch of people, a whole new bunch of professors. I like the experience a bit more than Melbourne University. Melbourne is a bit full of themselves. Monash is a bit more open-minded. Not everyone, but most of them. And I quickly fell into doing a humanities education. Arts. Classics. Or I did every history subject you could find. I did archaeology. I got the classic education, I guess. I studied Latin. I was in a Latin group with all these professors meeting every Friday to translate Latin. For about 5 years or 6 years, learning Latin. And every day I felt so honoured to be among them. It was literally, and there were retired ones as well with beards and all this. And some of them were not just in one area, they were interested in so many areas. They were polymaths. So I felt like I was literally sitting among Aristotle's and Plato's And I got so many mentors there who taught me so many different things. There's so many different ways of thinking, different ways of perceiving. And I started to learn about how discoveries are made, about how it's good to keep an open mind. I'll never forget one botany professor back at Melbourne Uni. He said, a discovery is always preceded by the belief, the idea, the realization. And this realization takes the form of an exclamation. You say to yourself, gee, that's funny. That's funny. And then you say, Eureka. The reason it's funny is because you're breaking into a new paradigm. And for other people to accept what you've just realized requires a paradigm shift. If you want to do higher research at university, you have to basically enter a new paradigm, because that's what's going to happen. I did all these subjects. I made so many friends, and among the professors as well, so many of them. Some of them have since died, unfortunately, as happens. But I'll never forget those amazing times and those amazing people. If you can get your college experience, I really recommend it. And I eventually got into honours level. So you get above a certain level and you can do honours. So I did a research, it was half research project, half subjects. The research project was on the historical Robin Hood. I wanted to do the Knights Templar, and I told my supervisor, I had a choice of a Renaissance supervisor or a medieval supervisor. I told them, hey, I want to do the Templars, and I want to say that the Templars were devil worshippers. And the guy I was eventually assigned to, he said, oh, no. The Templars were good people persecuted by an evil pope. And I said, no, hang on a second. They were devil worshippers. They were worshipping, obviously, a different form of Christianity. And they were worshipping this head of God. What was this? Was this a severed head? What was it? I wanted to investigate. And he said, no, don't do that. He said, if you do that, you're going to have to study original documents in Greek. And I wasn't prepared to do that, obviously. And also Aramaic, because that's where they were located. You have to use original sources. That education, that mentorship taught me to look at original sources, to look at photos like that one, and to make deductions directly. And that was an awesome supervisor. Absolutely awesome. Brilliant man, brilliant. And I did that well, and he asked me to continue to do a PhD. Along the way, I actually nearly didn't get into the PhD program because I had an argument with another professor who marked me down, but thankfully I was in so many different subjects. Earlier on, doing an undergraduate, you try and talk to these professors about subjects like Atlantis. Some of them, especially in archaeology, don't want to know. No. But among historians, they are more open-minded, so I chose history. So my professor said to me, well, you can go to Oxford, you can do a master's degree in Oxford, and then get a scholarship to do a PhD there. And I was like, no, I'd rather stay in Melbourne. I'm not going to go to England. Eventually I went a few times for other reasons, but I didn't want to go to England. So I started the PhD program. Finding the original Robin Hood. That's what I chose. That's what I did in honours. I told my professor, okay, I'm not going to do the Templars. You don't want me to do it. I'll do Robin Hood. I'll find the original Robin Hood. And he said, "Oh, Charles, you do realise this is going to be just a simple little band of peasant outlaws of no historical significance, right?" And I said, "No, I think he is a very significant person in history." So eventually I studied this, and I found we together found the original, what it seems, the original Robin Hood. Now, I can't tell you too much about this because I am working on a paper, or at least I was working on a paper. It was rejected, and I haven't touched it in about 2 years. I've sort of been too busy doing other things. Eventually, I finished that PhD. It actually took 6 years. It was rejected. It was rejected for political reasons. And it was also because they said Robin Hood... One professor was a bit of a Marxist, said Robin Hood wasn't peasant enough. Another professor said, who was a bit jealous, I think, obviously, said, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And he was very presumptuous, and he thought I was mixing data around too much. But eventually they both came around. Another guy in the University of London accepted it straight away. But 2 against 1 doesn't work. So I had to redo the whole thing. I nearly felt like quitting, and many people do quit. But I persevered, and I got that done. Graduated in 2014. So that's done. And then what to do with one's life? So I thought, okay, enough education. That's done. I did 3 degrees, no more. So I decided to go into business. So I actually started among other things, I started a tour business, and I was giving people tours around Melbourne. I even started doing ghost tours and architecture tours, but my big one was a crime tour. And I took thousands of people around Melbourne. Literally, thousands. And you keep refining a tour, refining it, see what makes people laugh, see what people are interested in. And eventually you get very good at doing that tour. It becomes very succinct and you finish right on the clock, right on the dot. And it makes you a good speaker as well. You learn how to speak. Now, I got really tired of that. All this time, and while I was doing PhD, I was traveling overseas, England twice, Germany, Poland. Well, that card filled up, so here is the next card. And by the way, I should mention the discoveries that I made about Robin Hood prove that there was indeed a Robin Hood. He was a person of tremendous national significance in the 13th century, but 13th century history has been completely obscured. For example, do you know the events behind Magna Carta? You probably don't. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant or anything, I'm just saying no one does know anything about that. So Magna Carta was actually a document written by the nobles to secure their rights against an unruly King John, because 2 years earlier John had given England to the Pope. my professor didn't really know this. An expert in medieval history. Unbelievable. Some parts of history are incredibly obscure. And it got me thinking, well, if I can make such amazing discoveries, I think they're amazing, in that, what about that? In 2015, I started making a couple videos on my pool table. I made a little model of Giza, to help sell my book, and people were saying, I don't know what you're talking about. And they still say, I don't know what you're talking about, but it's interesting. Yeah. And I started making other videos to make the channel more popular. Videos about Egypt, for example, about the Sphinx, about the pyramids. But I was very shy, and I knew I wanted to make a YouTube channel, but I didn't know what sort of YouTube channel I was going to make. I started one about cars. Believe it or not, I was thinking of making a car channel. Then I thought, it's not really me. And I've actually been making videos on YouTube since about 2009, 2008, believe it or not.
Hey everyone, today we're going to ask a very interesting question. What happened on that day, 13,000 years ago, when all the mammoths on Earth were destroyed? What cataclysmic event wiped them all from the Earth? Now, there are a number of theories on this.
But I've actually lost those passwords a long time ago. YouTube changed their system when Google took over, and I don't even know where those channels are or what they're called even anymore. I made one channel, which was, I think it was a scientific channel, but presenting an alternate point of view. And I got attacked by trolls and by stalkers who were saying I was anti-science, and they made videos refuting me and all this stuff. This is back in 2010, okay? These people didn't understand. And I don't want to sound arrogant, but if you have a brain and someone with half a brain starts attacking you, talking back to them is not going to be effective. I've tried that. That's one problem with YouTube. But I love the format, and I'm so grateful for so many subscribers at this stage. It's really gotten so good, and it's grown so strongly. I started this Ancient Mysteries channel, Charles Koss, sort of as a distraction, and I continued it as a hobby, as a distraction. Every time I noticed something, I made a video. And I thought, well, this is really cool. And guess what? People started watching. I got subscribers, as I said. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, why are people watching this? I don't get it. Why are people watching this? And it made me a little bit self-conscious. I thought, whoa, why are they watching this stuff? And they were saying, whoa, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Or they say, this is rubbish. At the end of the day, YouTube is what you make it. Now, I mentioned I was running a tour business. I've done that maybe 1,000 times, given a tour maybe 1,000 times. And I was doing 3 tours a day, working really hard. But at the end of the day, it's so repetitive, I don't want to do it. And for that reason, I don't want to do Ancient Mysteries tours, say around the world. I just don't want to do that. I would just travel on my own or with friends, but I wouldn't give a tour. I just don't want to. But YouTube is different. YouTube is fun. And I've recently taken the decision to get into it more full-time because the whole thing is just remarkable. It's just amazing. You can make a video and talk to all these people around the world instantly. It's just unbelievable. There's one problem with it, though. A lot of people who watch YouTube, a lot of people watch it to confirm what they already know. They think, oh, I've got a suspicion in my head. And if I watch it on YouTube, the YouTube will confirm that suspicion. So they don't want to hear something else. They don't want to hear the other arguments. They want to be told what they already know because they want to be reassured that what they think they know is true. Unfortunately, truth is a very fickle thing. We live in a quantum mechanical universe. Things only have a probability of being true some of the time. And the truth is stretchy depending on who you are. Something that is true about the Great Pyramid to a peasant might be completely false about the Great Pyramid to a high priest. I guess they would have a different version of the truth. So I began making videos, and it was kind of difficult. I would have to do lots of takes, and I would make mistakes, and I was self-conscious, and I was shy, and I was thinking, wow, this is hard work, and it is. But eventually it became very easy. Very easy, but also, I don't know, it's kind of frustrating as well because you have to sit at the computer a lot, edit a lot. I would rather just sit here and talk, honestly. It's so much easier. It really is. I would rather do it this way, and maybe I will. So I got into YouTube and I really started working at it, but I never actually took it seriously until maybe 2 weeks ago when I thought, well, hang on a second. I'm not running anything else in my life at the moment. I thought I was going to get into doing seminars, self-help, but no, that's not really me because I don't have a magic cure for some people who really need it. I don't. They need to cure themselves. With their own research, they need to find something that works for them. I could go into that, but what's the point? Ancient Mysteries is so much fun. I love doing Ancient Mysteries. I love that people are watching my channel. I think that's just amazing, and I really want to thank you guys for it. You tell people you have a YouTube channel, they're like, oh wow, that's amazing! And then they say, yeah, that's incredible. Some nastier people will say, well, there's not much money in it, and there isn't. What you have to do is you have to hook something to it, hook something up to it. So Ancient Mysteries people, they say they run tours around the world. I'm not going to do that. But frankly, it doesn't matter to me. I do it because I enjoy it, because I like doing it. I find it very interesting. Last year, I went to America, I had a girlfriend in America, and we went to see the Serpent Mound. Unbelievable. We went to see the Paulding Light. I've made all these videos. It's just unbelievable stuff. I also went to Ayers Rock and saw all these things. I've got all this footage I still have to use, all this stuff I haven't told you yet about Ayers Rock that no one knows. So I'm going to do that as well. I've got a lot more time now than I used to. I used to be extremely busy, but now time to dedicate to YouTube. But it's going to be focused and it's going to be good. There's a lot of channels out there which make very simple videos, very elementary, telling people stuff that many of us already know, but many of us don't. And so people say, wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that before. Wow. I can't make videos like that. If I know this stuff, I'm not going to make the video. I'm only going to make the video at stuff I have to research that I don't know, or it's no challenge, it's no fun. So I often make provocative videos, and because people haven't researched it fully, they think I'm wrong, I'm telling fibs, it's rubbish. No. Everything I do, every video, I just put everything into it and all of my beliefs into it. I do speculate and I say, hey, look, might not be true, but I think it could be. Guys, I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope that's explained many questions you might have been asking about me. This is Charles Koss, and I'm signing out for now. See you soon. Bye-bye.
haven't mentioned, it could have been a volcano. Or maybe it was a comet and a volcano. We're still not sure.